I hope that you all are having a good evening. Thank you so much for joining me here at my house on the Zoom meeting. I'm glad that you could make it. I'm going to quickly go through some of the information put out by our district about AIG services in the high school setting. And then we also have Miss Betsy Boggs, who just ran away from the camera right when I said her name. She's joining us to help answer any questions, since I am by no means the expert in high school land. And she will be a great resource for us, I'm sure, tonight. Thank you for joining us, Betsy.
Yes, of course. Hello, everyone.
All right, so we'll get started. The documents that I'm going to talk about, oh, I can't even see the way I have my screen set up. Okay, the documents that I'm going to talk about specifically, I have shared this information already with your students. So we have talked a little bit about this in class this past week. And then some of it Ms. Boggs shared with them also when she was at our school. That was last week, wasn't it? That you went over that with them? Okay. So we talked specifically about the honors and AP tracks, and we'll get a little bit more into that. But all of this will be sent home with your child, a paper copy of it, so that you have that as a resource too. And I'll send you a digital copy as well. So the Buncombe County Schools Gifted Services Plan, I don't know if you know this, but we rewrite our Gifted Services Plan every 3 years. Currently, we serve students in high school, in the high school setting, through honors and advanced placement classes. And those classes are available at all of the high school. I know that tomorrow night is the Nesbitt and early college meeting at North Buncombe Middle. And so if that's something you're interested in, that's at 6 p.m. tomorrow at school. And we will talk a little bit about Nesbitt, but they will share a whole lot more with you tomorrow night. So we have two alternative kind of high schools in Buncombe County Schools, Nesbitt Discovery Academy and Early College. And if you are not familiar with those, Early College is a 5-year program. So Early College is geared towards, they really like to attract kids who their families have not been in a college setting before. You can apply if you have family members, if you are not a first-time college attendee, but that is kind of who their target audience is. It's a smaller school and it's on AB Tech's campus. And as I said, it's a 5-year program. So the first 2 years are more traditional high school classes and scheduling. But then after that, years 3, 4, and 5, they kind of migrate into a more community college schedule, and students are really building a schedule that looks more flexible, I guess, than a traditional high school. The Nesbitt Discovery Academy is housed at Buncombe County offices, and that is on that site, and it's a school that serves everyone throughout the district. And both of these schools you do need to apply for, and the applications are live for those. I don't know if can you hear my kids in the background? Sorry. Okay, good. I'm like, I can hear my children. And you do need to apply for those schools. In the STEM Academy, I know that students are visiting that school this week. So some of your children probably were there today and getting excited about that and seeing those opportunities. So we have talked extensively about those schools just in class this week. And I think that kids have a pretty good idea if they are interested in applying. I'm happy to help with the application process if that's something that they want to pursue. And I've told them that, and I can write recommendations and all that stuff. So if that's something that you're talking to your child about and you need some more information, or you want me to help with that, just please let me know. You can always send me an email. All right, okay, so this document, this is one of the documents that I'm going to send home with your child. This is our transition to high school for gifted services. And I'm not gonna by any means read all of this to you, but there are a couple of things that I wanna highlight. The learning environment. So previously, students have been in cluster classes, clustered with AIG students, and now it's more of a choice of differentiation. So when your child registers for their high school classes, they can choose multiple pathways. So the honors courses, advanced placement courses. If they are interested in NCVPS courses, I think a lot of kids are kind of over that idea at this point, but that it can be an option for building the schedule that they are looking for. And you'll see there are a couple of other things that are listed there we're going to talk a little bit more about. There are also some nurturing programs and optional services. So the first one, the PSAT, and it's down here in the corner. You can see this little "did you know" box. So the PSAT is a really great tool for students. So not only does it help them practice with the SAT, but it also can give them information about how they will do in their AP classes. So if they are on the fence about a course, that may guide them and help them know how successful they will be when taking that AP class. It also is a pathway for the National Merit Scholarship. So if the student does really well on the PSAT, then they can qualify to potentially receive the National Merit Scholarship. Another thing is Governor School. So Governor School takes place academic Governor School takes place between junior and senior year. And Ms. Boggs, can I let you speak to how Governor School kind of happens in the high school setting?
Sure. So the way Governor School works is that so they go through a nomination process through their teachers. So it usually begins in the end of September, beginning of October, where we get the notification from the county to begin that process. I have a general meeting for any student to attend. I do get the nominations from the teachers, and I let students know that they've been nominated in a specific subject area or areas by their teachers, because that's just nice to know that your teachers think highly of you and that you've been successful in a subject area. Students that want to participate that have not been nominated by a teacher in a subject area, they can still participate as well. So that's okay. And then as with COVID, always there's things that change. So before COVID, students had to have an EOC score with a 92 percentile or higher. And that sounds like your child, it's easy to do. It is not as easy as one would think to get a 92 percentile, especially in biology. So it's kind of surprising sometimes. But with COVID, that EOC testing requirement went away. So what they're looking at then they're looking at the teacher recommendations that the students provide in their application. They're looking at their grades and their GPA and rank in class. And this is at the beginning of their junior year. So it's their grades and things from 9th and 10th grade year that they're looking at. And then their essays that they write. And then their extracurricular activities is a big part of it as well. So that's that application process. It goes in October. And then there's auditions for the fine art areas in February, and then they find out in March. So it is a long process. Our students are about to find out next month, so it's exciting for them to find out. And then you go for the 5-week summer program in between your junior and senior year.
And can you give families an idea like I know it's an intensive and they do like some academic and then some leadership. Mm-hmm. It's a residential program that takes place at the North Carolina School of Science and Math.
Yes. Well, there's 2 campuses. So actually, I don't think they go there anymore. They just changed one and they change them often, and I forget all the time where they are.
Of course they do.
Yeah. So there's 2 campuses. They cover all the academics in both campuses. You do not pick your campus. And then like French is at one campus, Spanish is at one campus. Certain fine arts are at one campus and then at the other. But while you're there, they have what they call kind of academic areas, or what do they call it? There's different 3 different things that they do during the day. And one of the core areas is where they focus just on their subject area. So for example, if they're going for English, then they would focus on a wealth of information about English. They may read a book and have discussions about it. They aren't going to take tests and write papers and things like that. It's more of a discussion growth about the world and how it works in that subject area. And then the other 2 core areas that they focus on during the day that they go to, they're mixing the groups. So you might be with kids from band, and you might be kids from history, and then from science. They all mix together, those 2 afternoon activity groups. And in those, you focus on global issues and how you can apply your core area that you're there for to those global issues, and whatever that might be. So it's a lot of discussion, a lot of group work, where leadership can be a part of it. And then there's a lot of fun too. So there's dances, and there's concerts they get to go. So if you're going for a fine art, you're going to be preparing a concert or a dance show or a recital, and you present that to the students on campus. So it's a lot of it's not like going to class. So, and you do live in a dorm setting. There is some freedom for sure about living on a campus like that, but you can't come home, you can't go visit. They have July 4th off, but they're pretty strict about that type of thing to keep the kids on that campus in that environment. But I've been at North Buncombe High School since 2007 and done governor school since then. So every year I do that, and I've had 1 kid say they didn't have a good time. So out of a lot of kids that have gone, everybody has a wonderful time, grows tremendously. So it's a really cool experience for students to do. That answered your question. You can always go onto their website and read specifically about what they do in those core areas that they study and participate in.
Yeah. And we can send, I think the AIG specialists typically read the applications, and I think we can send like 25 or so to the state, and then the state kind of decides and who is going to be invited. So it's exciting. It's exciting to read about what students are doing too, and their passion. And the essay is always really, really interesting. So that's a great opportunity that I wanted to make you all aware of. And then let's talk about College and Career Promise. So the College and Career Promise is a legislation that in North Carolina, where the university system and the community college system and the K-12 schools have come to an agreement that students who maintain a B average in 11th and until 11th and 12th grade, through 11th and 12th grade, can take courses through the North Carolina community college system as juniors and seniors. So typically that happens during the course of the semester. I know that it can happen in the summertime if you've got a real eager beaver, I guess, and you want to go to school all summer long. And that means that student can earn college credits while in high school. And that's a little bit different than AP classes, because with an AP class, you have to also take the test and get a qualifying score to earn that credit. And so with the College and Career Promise, you're actually taking the class and earning that credit kind of no matter what happens. Like as long as you pass the class, I assume you get the credit. So I know that at least on the math for North Buncombe High School, there were some examples of some classes that students can take. I know that the state universities have on their websites, they list the classes that are accepted by each university. So that's a great opportunity for students to really enter college with 9 credit hours or 12 credit hours kind of already under their belt. And it gives them the experience of what it's like to be in a college class. Have that kind of idea of what a syllabus is and how you would manage that before you get into a college setting. So now I'm like jumping two steps ahead, right? Like not just high school, talking about high school, talking about college. But I do think it's important to have these conversations with your kids. And I talked to them and I think they were all about to freak out when we were talking about this in class. They're like, you want me to decide what I'm going to do? I'm like, no, I don't want you to decide. I just want you to start thinking about it. Start getting informed, because knowledge is power when it comes to these things. Ms. Boggs, do you have anything to add to that about College and Career Promise?
So students take a lot of AB Tech classes. So if 2 things, students, their senior year, most students have completed the majority of their requirements for graduation. And so they have a lot of times 6 spots. So when you take AB Tech classes through North Buncombe High School or through Buncombe County Schools, they're free through the summer after that you graduate or semester after you graduate. So for example, if a student takes AB Tech classes, they can take classes over the summer before they go to college or whatever they choose to do. So, and the majority of them transfer. We have a really good list. I know on our website, if you've looked at the registration website, and I've emphasized greatly with the students to click on the Rising 9th grade tab. But if you don't mind and don't get confused on what you're filling out, you can click on the upperclassmen tab, and then there is an AB Tech section where you can take a look at the classes that come kind of like those are the top choices of classes to pick through AB Tech. So you can get an idea of what would be coming down the road. And it is usually always their junior and senior year, and that has to do with age. They can't have students that are under a certain age without a parent. So I don't know many of your students, and I don't think they want you to go to class with them. So, but that would be how you would be able to take them before that. So that's kind of how that works. But there's a lot of opportunities, and students find it very helpful to do that. So.
Yeah, I think that's awesome to be able to take. I mean, I know Miss Cutshaw, her son entered college with like 18 credit hours already, which financially is huge.
Yeah,
like
it is
one of the advantages to me of early college, but then it can apply to all the high schools, which is great.
Mm-hmm. I think something to think about too, knowing your child, because my daughter is a freshman in college right now. And so she took a lot of AB Tech classes. So that when she started her freshman year, she was further along. So she really is kind of a semester and a half ahead. But what that meant is that she's taking sophomore classes her freshman year. And on paper, that sounds great. But talking to my daughter about that experience, it's been kind of difficult because there are more classes, the expectations are different. She's not with freshmen in her class. So it's just something to really make sure you have your, depending on what you take, because she took a lot of English and a lot of history. So that was kind of what boosted her in a spot. So just make sure that you're taking classes and you know your child. Do they need more time to mature their freshman year in college before they jump into the higher level classes in college? So it's just, I would have never known that if I didn't have a daughter there right now. So that's just a personal note about that piece. It does sound great and it does save money, but there's a catch to it as well.
Well, and I know that other people have mentioned too that, AP classes are also a little bit more prestigious. And so if you're thinking about like going to a highly competitive school like NC State or Carolina, like if that's your goal, then you may be better off sticking with the AP classes, especially in those areas. Like if you want to go into a science or math field, you know, that would be, have you heard that that's true? Like the colleges, more prestigious colleges are looking for those AP classes.
Right. I don't know that it's more prestigious, but what I would say, what was explained to me that I have learned through the years is that they know what takes place in AP classes and those advanced classes. That is a curriculum, nationwide curriculum. And so a kid that takes AP biology at North Buncombe High School and a kid that takes it at Wichita High School, it's the same curriculum, the same test that they have to take. Our community college may not be as rigorous, or it may be more rigorous than in a community college. So that is something that I know that for North Carolina schools, we're guaranteed that they will take our AB Tech classes. But if you have children that are applying out of state that are not familiar, then it gets a little bit more blur, those lines blur about the credits. They probably will take them. They took one of my daughters and she went out of state, but it definitely, they look at it a little differently because they don't know the rigor of the community college classes.
Great, thank you. All right, the last thing that I wanted to have you speak to, Ms. Boggs, I promise I'm going to stop asking, is the diploma endorsements. So
Yes.
are the diploma endorsements, and kind of what does that, how does that help a student?
It's a sticker on their diploma.
Okay, but you have like taken certain classes to meet that endorsement?
Yes. So what it does for you is when you meet different graduation requirements, for example, if you've met North Carolina graduation requirements and have completed 2 levels of a world language, then you get the endorsement that you have met the requirements to go to a 4-year college. If you have completed 4 levels of the same world language, you get the endorsement that you have completed that task. So there's the world language, there's the NC States or the North Carolina endorsement, there's a math one, there's several different ones, but it comes at the end of their senior year. We don't finalize any of that until they have graduated. So it's not something that you would put on a resume. It's not something that the colleges see before they apply to the college. It's just you've completed this graduation requirement.
It's a sticker.
It is a sticker, and I hate to say that, and I know, but it doesn't. It's so late,
yeah,
that it doesn't really carry any weight for the students. And you can tell that they've met those things that does show up on their transcript. So for like a final transcript, or if a student's applying for a scholarship like in the summer in between or later on the road, it might be helpful. But as far as college applications are concerned, or for striving for those things, most students meet them just because students don't say, okay, I want to aim for this endorsement and then take classes to it. They're meeting them because they're just high achieving students and they're meeting graduation requirements.
Okay.
So
that's good. That's great information.
I know. Sorry.
No, it's good. It's good to know that it's not necessarily like something they're going to strive for, or that they would put on an application. That's good.
Not so much. I mean, they can, but
if they know they're getting it, they can.
Yeah. Right.
All right, let's move on. So this is a differentiation document for high school. So previously your student has had a differentiation document showing things like cluster classes, AIG enrichment groups, consultative support with an AIG specialist, and that sort of thing. Now you will receive a document, obviously with your child's information on it. And these 3 boxes will be checked. So consultative support, if your child attends North Buncombe High School, then I will still be their consultative support. And I tell them all the time, they can email me. I still exist. I don't disappear. I'm still on the other side of the computer. So if they need me or if you need me, I'm definitely still available as a resource. Then the honors classes and the advanced placement classes, just by checking this box does not make them have to do that. I do recommend that they check out those honors classes and that they seek advanced placement classes where it is appropriate and where they feel like that's the best fit for them. I definitely encourage looking at the honors classes, and I tell them that is kind of where their people are. I think sometimes they get nervous about that and feel like maybe there's some other super secret group of kids that is smarter than them, but I promise they're not. It's your kids. That's why they're here in this program. Over here on the right side, the content, process, and product, these are things that will happen in those classes. So that's why they're listed there. It's kind of similar to the things that are listed on the differentiation documents that come home at the end of the year, but you will not get those for the high school courses. And this document that I will send home will cover them through their time in Buncombe County Schools. So through their 12th grade year, or if they're in early college, their 13th grade, which sounds funny to say, but that's what they say in the board meeting. So that's what I'm going to say. All right. So we're going to look a little bit at the registration information just to kind of get an idea. And you will see all of this is on the North Buncombe High School registration website. I'm going to kind of shortcut my way through that because I've already, I've already messed myself up. I already opened these tabs. So this I shared with your students. It is linked. I have linked it to the North Buncombe High School website. I told your kiddos, sign up for English 1 honors. Most of them, that is exactly where they need to be. And then once you get into English 2, that's when you want to start thinking about talking with your teachers. Is AP the place for you? And when you visit the registration website, you will see there's information about those AP classes. If you just click forward on the slideshow, it'll go through all of those classes and kind of explain what they look like, who the teachers are. And there's a lot of information there on that website. Y'all have done a great job with that, Ms. Boggs. I really like that website. So English is pretty cut and dry. Some of the other subjects are a little trickier. Social studies, for example. So if your child knows that they are interested in getting on this world history or this AP track, then they will want to consider signing up for civics as a freshman. And Ms. Boggs, does that happen with the HawkQuest advisor at the high school? They just say, I know I want to take WAP and US history AP.
So we have advisement from all of the middle school teachers. So that information will be shared with the HawkQuest advisors on all the subject areas and some like band and things of that nature. So they'll come over with that advisement on what the 8th grader's current history teacher believes would be the best fit. But during that meeting, you can ask more questions, and then the student and the parent ultimately are the ones deciding which path that they would like to take.
Okay, great. And there are so many choices or opportunities, I guess, for taking AP classes in social studies. And I noticed like the AP electives, there are other slides here that are available that y'all can look through. Obviously, this is my favorite picture of Ben Graham jumping up in the air. But there are there's a lot of information there about this class. I told the kids, I'm like, I took this class when I was in high school. That's that senior elective. That's a 1 semester. AP class. And so that they can piggyback with the finance, I think it was personal finance. What is it? Economics and personal financial literacy. Sounds like fun. That's the one they just passed the law on recently.
Yes.
Yeah, everybody needs this class. And then we got into a tangent conversation about credit card debt. Like, don't go credit card debt, kids. Mini lesson that happened. All right, so math. So your students are starting in a lot of different places. We have some students who will be entering ninth grade. I would say most students who are entering ninth grade are going to go into Math 2 honors. Some of our students are going to go into Math 1 honors, and some are going to go into Math 3 honors. So it just kind of depends on where your child is and what their path and trajectory is. I know that we have some parents of students here who are definitely on the math path, I'll call it. And this is an example, this Math 152 of an AB Tech class that they can take. Are there other math AP classes that are available, Ms. Boggs?
So, so right now what we have, and it changes a lot. So it's tricky, or not a lot, but it does change sometimes. And so what I would say is that if your child is going to be going into, I think the biggest thing for math is you need to look at the end result of what you're looking for your child. Do they plan on going into a field or a career where they need calculus, or do they need statistics? Some students will have room for both, and that's fine, but they don't necessarily need both. Those are kind of lead you into a different area. So really thinking about your child and what would be helpful for them to take more of. So if your child is in math, if they're going to be going into Math 1 honors and want to get caught up, and I guess I shouldn't say caught up, have more room down the road, they could double up in the Math 1 honors and the Math 2 honors, and then move on to Math 3 and pre-calc. If your child is coming in to Math 2 honors, then they would stick with just Math 2 honors and not double up in Math 2 and 3. And then for the Math 3, why I say make sure you're looking at their long term, because typically Math 3 honors doubles up with pre-calculus, but you run out of classes. So if they're planning on going to a 4-year university, you need to have math every year. So that's something to think about. I'm not saying you can't double up in the Math 3 honors and the pre-calc, but you need to think about what their plan is. So once they do the AP Calc and the Math 152, then we would be looking at other AP Tech classes for them to take through that Career and College Promise. Or if they would like to do a true dual enrollment, then they would have to work that out on their own and apply through like Mars Hill or through UNCA. And that would be, they'd have to pay for that and they would have to figure that out. So
transport themselves there and back to campus.
Yeah. They would, but there are other math classes offered at AB Tech that they could move on to. The Math 152 is offered at North Buncombe High School. It's a face-to-face math class. If they go past that math, they would either have to travel to AB Tech if they wanted it face-to-face, or they would be taking it online.
Okay, so that's what I was wondering too. Are there other NCVPS classes that they could use or take as a senior, like other math classes? Or
so I wouldn't advise that, because when you're getting far into math, you want college credit.
Right.
I would go through AB Tech to take them, and AB Tech has plenty. I mean, they have all the ones that come after that. So you just have to create it in your schedule if you need to go, and we would work with that with their schedule. That's, we would figure out if they need to have a spare in there so they can travel or whatever we need to do. We would work with that student and their schedule to make that happen if they needed to go to a face-to-face class.
Great. So lots of opportunities for advancement. Pushing yourself. All right, the last subject area to look at is the science. So your student should sign up for Earth and Environmental Science honors. I would hope, maybe not all of them. I know I had some kids say the other day, but I hate science class. I'm like, okay, well, but consider it. And I know that in the past, we had really suggested that they double up, but then Ms. Boggs, you said maybe not as a freshman, that it becomes kind of a lot to take both sciences your freshman year.
It does. And I think that is what, for the science, what I said to the students, if you only have 3 sciences that are required, graduation. And so that's that earth science, biology, and a physical science, which would, for your students, would either be chemistry or physics, most likely. And so there's plenty of room to do that. And there's plenty of room for them to get all of those sciences in, with only taking one science their freshman year. But if science is their favorite thing in the world and they want to take every science, and they have maybe another subject area that they really want to take a lot of classes in, then they can double up in earth science honors and biology honors. They would have to take both of them. But that biology honors is a state tested class. And it can get kind of beefy for the kids to take their freshman year. But you can double up your 10th grade year. You can take bio and chemistry your 10th grade year, and then move on to AP Chem, which is a year-long class, your 11th grade year, and still have room for physics and for AP Earth Environmental. So there's plenty of room. We just have found that there's not a need, like we've kind of pushed in the past, for students to double up their freshman year in science, but they can, for sure.
And we talked a little bit in class about the fact that they only need 3 sciences to graduate, but that a lot of universities would probably prefer to see 4 sciences. Do you find that to be true? Like that they need a 4th science, or?
No, not unless they're pursuing a field in science.
Yeah.
Like
okay.
Going for going to their undergrad for a science field, but not so much math. They want every year.
Okay.
I think I saw that question pop up. That math 3 is a 1 semester class, and pre-calc is 1 semester. So that's why they put those together. Sometimes that math 3 honors and pre-calculus, you don't have to take them the same year, but it kind of flows together pretty well. So if a student can do that, then that's something that they can certainly look to see if that works in their schedule. AP Calculus is a year-long class. That's the only math that we have that is a year-long class.
Great. Thank you, Bobby Jean, for asking that question. Does anybody else have any other questions or anything else that they would like to know? While you have us, you have a captive audience. Well, here again is my contact information. I think you all have it because I've sent you an email, so I bet you have my contact information. If there is anything else, you are free to email me whenever. I am definitely here on the other end of the computer and at school most days. Thank you all so much for coming. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Ms. Boggs, for coming and sharing your knowledge with us. We're glad to have it. So,
yes, thank you.
Yeah. I hope you all have a great evening. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.